My wife left me when I was caring for my dying father, but when he made Maine a millionaire in his will, she came back crawling. I am a 36-year-old man, married for 8 years with 2 children. I am also the only son of my ailing father who has been suffering from kidney problems for many years, and in the last 2 to 3 years, his condition has worsened. He needs to go for dialysis twice a week. Earlier, he could commute on his own, but over the last year, he often asked me to accompany him as he grew weaker every day. I have made a routine for myself to take my father for dialysis every time because I don't want to leave him alone in this condition. He goes for dialysis on Saturdays and Wednesdays. Saturday is my day off, so it's not a concern. On Wednesdays, I got permission from my boss to leave early and then compensate for the remaining hours by working late at night after returning home from the dialysis. I've been working in this company for 10 years, and my boss sees me as a hard-working and loyal employee, so granting this special permission wasn't a big deal for him. However, the problem was at home with my wife, Ale, who is 34 years old. When she found out that I would be taking my dad for dialysis twice a week, she got upset. She didn't like it when I took him occasionally, but she never expressed her displeasure up front. Now that I have taken up the responsibility diligently, she couldn't stop herself. She said that there was no point wasting my time on my father, because whatever I did, he would never be impressed by me. Well, here's a little context to this. My dad owned a merchandising business and was quite well off, having acquired decent wealth. He wanted me to take over his business, but I was passionate about technology and wanted to get into coding and creating software. After school, when Dad wanted me to take up some business or management courses, I took up a software degree. He was fine with that until I graduated and started working for a renowned tech firm instead of joining his company. Dad wasn't happy that I didn't want to take forward his legacy, and he kept asking me to join his business, but I kept stalling. After my marriage, Dad asked me one final time if I wanted to join, and I said no. Dad got furious and said he would give all his wealth to charity, and I wouldn't get a penny. I still didn't budge. I was earning well and bought a car and my own house at the age of 29, so I was confident I could lead a decent life, even without his wealth. I told him that I didn't need his money and could build wealth on my own. Our relationship soured after that point. 5 years ago, my mom passed away due to cardiac arrest. It was devastating for Dad. I had moved out of the house at 17 for college, then got a job and started living on my own. The only companion Dad had was Mom, and losing her was the most devastating thing for him. That's when our bond rejuvenated. I started visiting him often and used to take my kids to play with him. Eventually, he stepped down from his company and gave it to a trust to run. My wife, Ale, was never close to my parents. When my mother was alive, Ale avoided visiting them, saying my mother was too nosy in our lives and they didn't get along. When my father announced that he would remove me from his will, Ale started openly criticizing my parents for being mean and evil. I insisted she stay away from my relationship with my parents, but she always stepped in and said it would affect our future, especially our children's. I assured her that our future was secure regardless of Dad's wealth, but she didn't understand that. Now, coming to the current situation, Ale created a fuss when she found out that I would be accompanying Dad for dialysis twice a week. Initially, I tried to make her understand that Dad had no one but me. He lost his parents long ago, and though he has an elder brother, he lives on the other side of the city and rarely visits. Dad has become very lonely after Mom's demise, and I cannot abandon him in this condition. But my wife refuses to understand. Of late, she has made my life miserable. Every Saturday, she comes up with plans, whether it's hosting a party, deep cleaning the house, going out with the children, or even as trivial as grocery shopping. I made her understand that she could plan anything she wanted on Sundays, because I had to take Dad for dialysis on Saturdays. But she continues with her plans and later rebukes me for being late or missing them. It's not just about Saturday, she does the same for Wednesday evening. I committed to my boss that I would compensate for the work hours late at night after returning from dialysis, but she always plans to trouble me. Almost every Wednesday evening, she goes out either to meet her family, long-lost friends, or attend some random party, leaving the children's responsibility to me. I have to juggle my work, cook for the children, feed the younger one, and complete my pending tasks after a hectic day at work and the dialysis center. Many times, my dad suggested letting him go to the center with a nurse because he sees me always in a hurry. I don't even wait for a second after dropping him home and rush back. Dad has a full-time nurse and a caretaker, but I still feel bad for not spending time with him. The drive from his house to the center is 30 minutes. Earlier, I enjoyed chatting with him during the drive, but now, all I'm concerned about is rushing back home. Most of the time, I overspeed my car, take shortcuts, and overtake other vehicles to cut down the drive time. This is the only time I get to spend with Dad, and I don't want to ruin it by asking him to go with the nurse. I have some responsibilities as a son. I'm just not able to bear this woman any longer. Update 1, it's just getting worse every day. My wife is not leaving any stone unturned to dissuade me from attending to my father. Her point is that it's a lost deal since Dad already removed me from his will and gave his wealth to charity. I fail to understand her. Do we do everything just for profit and loss? What if someone's parents don't have wealth? Do their children abandon them because they have nothing to offer? After listening to her tantrums for so many months, I finally told her that she wasn't going to inherit anything from her parents, so why does she visit them every now and then? She lost her temper and said my parents did a lot more for her than my father did for me. This type of argument is becoming a norm in my house almost every Wednesday and Saturday. It is getting severe and ugly. Earlier, she fought with me alone, but now she yells and shouts at me in front of the children. Not only this, she badmouths my dad in front of my children and manipulates them against me and my dad. I heard it and intervened, which again led to an ugly fight. Aile's fights have become routine. On days when she doesn't fight, it feels like something is missing, and she becomes more aggressive the next day. I've almost given up on her. I don't yell back or answer her, I just ignore her as if she doesn't exist. What else should I do? I cannot abandon my father to please her. I don't care if he kicked me out of his will because of my decision not to join his company. I sometimes feel karma is biting me back for hurting my dad, but Dad is becoming weaker, and he barely walks on his own now. He needs support to step down to the car. To save time, I used to ask him to come outside, but now I don't care about being late. I go inside to walk him to the car and drop him to his bed until he settles down. He is also having shortness of breath, so I walk him slowly. I don't care about being late because rushing home didn't help. If I have to deal with that woman anyway, I might as well keep Dad happy. My casual attitude has worsened the situation. Yesterday, Aile said I needed to choose between her and my dad. I tried to make her understand that Dad wouldn't be with us forever, but she replied curtly, saying I should choose someone who will be with me forever or someone who will die soon. I told her I'd rather choose my dad than her. She packed her bags and left, and I didn't stop her. Update 2. It's just getting worse. My wife demanded that I choose between her and my dad. I chose my dad over her, and she packed her bags and left. I didn't stop her. She needed time to cool off, and I needed space. Her absence is soothing. I signed the divorce papers she sent without a fuss, feeling relieved. She didn't ask for custody of the children, which was a surprise but a relief. Her mom scolded me for not trying to save the marriage, but I didn't care. It was the best thing for me. Update 3. It's a sad update. Dad passed away peacefully in his sleep last week. The doctor said he was happy after I moved in with him, which extended his life. Losing him is hard, but I'm glad he spent his last months happily. His lawyer revealed that I was always his heir. All his wealth, business, and house were left to me. I cried, realizing my dad never abandoned me. He was proud of me for following my passion. I'm thinking of taking back the business from the trust and scaling it to the level Dad wanted. Update 4. After Dad's death, my ex-wife and her parents tried to reconcile, claiming they didn't know about Dad's demise. I laughed at their sudden change of heart, knowing they were after the wealth. Aile demanded half of my wealth, but I refused. She left and I discussed it with my lawyer. He assured me she had no claim, especially since the children were with me. I'm focusing on spending time with my kids and managing the business. We're planning a vacation to the Bahamas to relax and bond. Life is better without her.